Hi there. Welcome back. Welcome back to the Shitty Kitty Kitchen, round two on Sunday afternoon meal prep in Australia. The ham, cheddar, and tomato relish muffins are still in the oven. They need another about 8 minutes, so we'll be checking on them. I will be interrupting the meatball making at some point to show you the muffins. But coming up now, we're going to be making spiced lamb and halloumi meatballs. Yum! One of the reasons I'm doing this recipe was because I had some halloumi in my dairy section in my fridge, and I'm trying to use up things before they reach their expiry date. Although things like halloumi have ridiculously long lives because they're sort of cryovac packed. This recipe did also suggest making or buying, chamula paste, but I'm actually going to sub that out with some chili chutney that I've got, and I'm just going to chop up some extra coriander and parsley and add that as well, because chamula is basically a chili, tomato and herb African paste. And we'll just get on with starting the meatballs. But yeah, I will be pulling the muffins out of the oven shortly. I'll do the skewer test on them. I might just quickly flick the pan around because I know that my oven cooks unevenly. Oh, they look and smell amazing. They are the Humana muffins, named after lovely Humanimal, who hopefully will get to see the video I just did on replay, and also she'll hopefully pop in and see what the finished product looks like as well. But they smell amazing. And they're going to be a really yummy one for a lunch. A bit like having a ham, cheese and spinach toasted sandwich, I guess, with tomato chutney as well. The first thing we've got to do is soak some breadcrumbs. Now, this recipe did say to use fresh sourdough breadcrumbs, but I'm actually using pancos because they're here. And I generally don't buy breads. I need a quick load of dishes because I need to use some of the things I used before for this recipe. But I thought why not? Let's just soak the pancos, follow the recipe. But if you want to use fresh sourdough breadcrumbs, go for it. I guess if you buy bread and you've got a bit left over, 5 minutes to go on the muffins. So we'll just get these soaking at least. So we need half a cup of pancos or breadcrumbs, whatever you're using. Pancos are great because of their crunch. So this will be interesting to see what happens. Hopefully they go soggy. I mean, that's why you'd soak them in milk, right? Even though I've got to do quite a few dishes in that little break, the kitchen is chaos. Doesn't take long at all. And to soak the breadcrumbs, we're going to add a couple of tablespoons of milk. Sunny was hovering, and to keep her entertained, I've given her half of her dinner that she normally gets at 5. She scored an early dinner so that she didn't get in the way while I was cooking, but she's also worked out, I think she's only been given half because she normally grazes, but she's pretty much devoured that sachet or half a sachet. And then you just want to mix the breadcrumbs and milk together and leave them for about 5 minutes to, I don't know, the pancos have absorbed those 2 tablespoons of milk like there's no tomorrow. But yeah, we're just going to let them soak. I think soak's an unusual word. And I don't think fresh sourdough would be much different. But anyway, they're soaking. In the meantime, we will start putting the meatball ingredients in a bowl. Now, I'm making the full recipe with meatballs because I'm pretty fussy about what I freeze. This is beautiful lamb mince from my local butcher, 500 grams. But yeah, with meatballs, I mean, you can have them with polenta, mashed potato and veggies. You can have them on their own. You can have them on toast. You can have them with rice, pasta, make a sub sort of sandwich with them, like all sorts of stuff. Very versatile. And just to have a pot of them in the fridge, it's like I get home, I'm like, oh, I'll just chuck up do a bit of pasta and have them with that. It's pretty easy weeknight cooking. Now we're going to also grate more cheese. This time it's halloumi. Now halloumi, they say to use 200 grams, but these packets are 180 grams. So that's just going to have to do. And like I was saying, things like halloumi, best before the 13th of September 23. So it wasn't close to reaching its expiry date, but I still am a big believer in being inspired to find recipes to use the things you've actually got in your house. I'm just going to do this over the sink because sometimes there is a little bit of liquid in these packets. I absolutely love halloumi. I did a fried halloumi and mushroom dish on the channel not that long ago, and everyone was salivating, and rightly so. It's great cheese. I don't know if I've actually ever grated it into a dish before. I mean, I might have. I don't think I have on this channel, though. It's an interesting sort of consistency to try and grate. It's kind of going to be just random chunks, I think. No one's coming to say hi. What are you all doing? Having a life? How dare you? What, you're actually doing stuff on your weekend? What's wrong with you? Should be hanging out with me. Hey, this afternoon I did create an opening for a segment I'm going to start doing on my show, on my Sleuths and Smooth Criminal channel. It's actually almost making me think I should change the name of the channel again. I know. But if Miss K pops in her suggestion last night, I've created a little intro for it. It's the shortest intro for any segment on anything ever. It's like 8 seconds. Well, let's do the skewer test on the muffins. That halloumi is grating really well, though. Who would have thunk it? And it's very light. It's delightful. Big fan. Let's skewer test these muffins and see if they can come out of the oven. If you want to know how to make the muffins, there is the live previous to this one where I made them. And the link to the recipe is in the description for the muffins, and also the link to this meatball recipe is in the description of this live. No need to. This is such a nuisance. It's like I've got to take my glasses off to open up the oven so they don't fog up, then stick in the skewer, and then pull the skip. They look pretty cooked to me. And they do keep cooking for a little bit longer once you take them out. Look, that's well and truly clean enough for my liking. So let's bring these muffins out. I should have got a second mitten and used 2 hands. They are heavy. Heavy, hearty, chunky muffins. So I'm going to turn the oven off because we're pan frying the meatballs. And I'm going to show these to you guys. They look pretty gorgeous. Fresh out of the oven. They're actually way more browned on top than it looks on the screen. They are perfect. They look so good. They've got yummy, crunchy bits of melted cheese on top. And So I'm just going to take them out so they can cool down on a wire rack, which I've got over here. Despite not having a lot of bench space in this kitchen, it blows my mind how things just fit perfectly all the time. It's the same with like chutneys and stuff, like that last recipe I made. Well, sorry, the muffins. The amount of chutney I needed for that recipe, that's the exact amount that I had left in the jar. Like it just, my ex used to comment about that all the time. He's like, why? How? And also random ingredients. And funny enough, with this recipe we're making now, there's a random ingredient that I didn't think I'd have. Mind you, I'm also short one ingredient, but I'm going to show you how, when necessity is the mother of invention. I'm just going to put that down there because the bench is getting very low on space. Hello, beautiful people coming in. So we've got our 500 grams of lamb mince, and we're then going to add, it says to do 200 grams, but when a bundle of halloumi, a packet of halloumi comes in 180 grams, I'm not buying a second packet for 20 grams. I do have things like mozzarella that I could add if I really wanted to, but I think 180 is close enough to 200. How you doing, beautiful people? Tell me what you've been doing on your weekend. Keen to chat. The person who told me I was full of it this morning on YouTube, in my comments section, and I wrote a very tactful response, Dirty deleted her anger. But I got it before she did that. And she's going to be the first contestant in a new section of my show, a new segment. And then I've got another segment. Meg, hi. I thought you might have been good to see, gorgeous. When you said you were going over to see Bev and she's crocheting you the bikinis and so on, I'm like, I reckon she's going to get trapped at Bev's. So the muffins are now out of the oven. I'll show you what they look like. And I just wanted to say too, gorgeous, I'm so glad you tried the cinnamon porridge and mandarin and enjoyed it. It was yum, wasn't it? It's very fancy, but just that gorgeous wintry, heartwarming porridge as well. And that cream, oh my goodness. I'm going to make a coffee in the morning to take with me in the car to town to work with a blob of that cinnamon cream on top. Yeah, I am. And then I'm going to have the rest of it on Tuesday because I'm working from home. And look, I wouldn't normally do 2-day-old porridge, but because of all the yummy stuff in it, I think it'll just be amazing. And even if I just need to add a cup of, a bit more milk or something to it, I can revive it. It's only going to be 2 days old. Well, not even 2 days, really. So yummy. So these are the muffins, gorge. They're still piping hot. And once it's cooled down a tiny bit more, I'm going to slice it and chuck on some butter and a bit of cracked pepper and do a little taste test. But they look more golden in real life. The lighting on YouTube is ridiculous. I was wearing a top last night and Humanimal was like, that pale yellow looks lovely on you. And I was like, well, it's actually a pale salmon pink, but nothing ever quite looks the same. Next is the chamula. Now, we're not going to be making the chamula, which is the African tomato-based paste. I used to scare you because you thought I'm a vegetarian. No, not at all. No. But I do cook vegetarian dishes because I do have vegetarian viewers. And also, I'm quite happy to have the occasional vegetarian meal. Like, quite often I might have a week where I have 3 lunches. Well, I have a lot of vegetarian lunches, really. Lots of salads and stuff. But I'm sorry I scared you. So the chamula is a chili sort of tomato paste with coriander and parsley in it. So what I'm going to do is I'm not doing store-bought chamula when I've already got numerous jars of different types of tomato chutneys and so on. I'm just going to make like my own little version. So what I want to get first is my little 1/4 cup measure, wherever that is. I'm just so excited that you made the yeah, Mel does put half a cow in the oven. I was just so excited that you made the porridge. So I pulled all the different tomato relishes and chutneys and things out of my fridge, and they're all spicy. So I'm actually going to use this Tasmanian Pantry tomato chili relish. I mean, we've got the tomato, we've got the chili, and I'm just going to chuck in some extra herbs, which you get in the chamoula, because I did Google a chamoula recipe. It might have some other things in it. I didn't go back and check that I've got everything, but I thought, let's just use what's in the fridge. Why go and buy a jar of chamoula when I can kind of make a similar thing? I mean, at the end of the day, it needs to be spicy. This is a chili jam because they're spicy meatballs. And from what I could tell, the other ingredients for the chamoula were some herbs. And as luck would have it, I have some fresh herbs I need to use. You have a mandarin tree. Oh, yeah, living in the tropics, man. So I'm just going to guesstimate a bit. And this poor coriander and parsley is at the end of its, well, not tether, but it's really just best for cooking now. It's not great for, you know, if you want a fresh garnish. I've got other fresh herbs growing out on my deck. I have to buy parsley because my possums eat it, and I don't actually grow coriander because it always goes to seed, and we've got like a little community garden where they do grow this stuff, so I just grab it from there. There's a couple of herbs that are just easier to, and they're not as expensive as, you know, the supermarket ones. And then I also love, like, you know, the old-fashioned curly parsley. They also grow that at the community garden. So there's always herbage. I need to learn how to dry stuff though. Like a friend of mine who's a horticulturalist, he has a beautiful herb garden and veggie garden, and he dries a lot of his herbs, and I've got to Google how to do that because I do freeze a lot. But some homemade dried herbage, yum. So I'm just chopping this up. I'm not going to actually even bother mixing it in with the tomato relish. I'm just going to chuck the herbs straight in and then add that chili tomato paste. Where did that spoon go? You're so lucky having a mandarin tree. I'll let you catch up with Bev, though, doing the lining on a bikini. I think it's important that you concentrate. I had crochet bikinis, and I'd go in the ocean and like I'd walk down to the water thinking, look at me, I'm so funky. And then I'd come out of the water and they'd be like halfway down to my knees. They'd still be like sitting on my waist. Didn't know if Bev had any tomato relish. I paid $2.10 for one tomato. Yeah, it's crazy. A jar is in the pantry, girlfriend. She's listening to you. She can't see you on my phone. Hi, Bev. Hi from Tori in Tasmania. Hey, Perpetual Platypussy. How are you? Welcome back. So the muffins are out of the oven. I'm just going to mix all the meatball stuff, and then before I start cooking them, we're going to do the taste test on the muffins. They're just cooling down a little bit. And then we're going to also put in salt and pepper. Cracked pepper. I love my pepper, so I always go, you know, around the block a couple of times. And salt. That is so spicy. That chili is so spicy. And my salt pig, I use Tasman sea salt. Give that a good blobbing as well. Always season your balls, right? Now, what's going on here? There's a mistake in this recipe. She forgot to tell everybody to add the breadcrumbs. I mean, a bit later on, we're going to cook we're going to make a sauce to go with the meatballs. And that's where I'm going to teach you that necessity is the mother of invention. But yeah, she forgot to mention the breadcrumbs that have been soaking in milk, but they go into your meatballs too, groovers. I don't know if the link to the recipe in the description has left that out too, but if it has, I'll put a little note in there to remind everyone. All right, now we're just going to mix this, and the best way to do it is with your hands. So give your hands a good wash, take off all your rings, leave a bit of water on your hands if you need to, and we're just going to mix all of this goodness together. You love your balls seasoned. I love mine moist, and I think the halloumi is going to definitely add a really interesting dynamic. Now that I'm mixing it all together, I'm spreading that chili tomato relish. But you guys, if you want to buy a chamula because you don't have tomato relish in your fridge, you do that. But when I went looking for relish for the muffins and found I had 3 jars of chili relish, tomato relish, all different Tasmanian ones. Oh, no, one of them was a Beerenberg one, actually. Plus a couple of things of tomato sauce. 1 chili, 1 not, like homemade, not store-bought. No need to add some chamula to the mix. But I do have chamula seasoning. I've made that before too. And then you can just add a bit of oil and turn it into a little paste. I did think about using that, but I have all this other stuff I want to use up. Just rinse that off. So before we get into rolling balls, moist balls, these are going to be moist. Look at that. Look how much halloumi there is. So much cheese. I'm really fascinated to see what the halloumi is like in a meatball. So let me do a taste test first, though, of our wee muffin. Let's see how the Humana muffin turned out. I always try and pick the smaller one or the one that looks a little bit tragic for my taste test, because I do take at least half a dozen of these into work whenever I make muffins. I do have space in the freezer now, but sharing is caring, and everyone else is really generous, and they take their homemade goodness in as well. So I'm happy to do that. I've eaten plenty of other people's food in the office. And we're just going to put some butter. I had a little bit of ham that fell off. It was really good ham. Bit of butter. Bit of butter. Hey, Cement Shoes. I thought you might have nodded off, Groover. You can replay Tasmanian Duck River butter. There's nothing better. I swear to God. Yes, I'm biased when it comes to butter. Tasmanian Duck River butter is so good. There's nothing like it. And these savoury muffins, a bit of cracked pepper. And let's see how we feel about the Humana muffin. I'm bummed she wasn't here for this, but hopefully she'll watch it on replay and make them. So just a quick refresh, because this is a taste test in the middle of another live. If people want to watch how I made these muffins, it's already on the channel. Well, it will be. I'll make it public shortly. So we have a tomato relish, ham and cheddar muffin, and there's actually relish in the muffin, not just to be served with relish. Like there's actually relish in the mixture, and there's also baby spinach. Oh, yeah. Ooh. That's actually really yummy. Like the relish I used in this was an African, and it was still quite a spicy one. But it's yummy that it's sort of through the whole mix, and it's really like it's really giving the ham a lift. I haven't tasted a lot of cheese yet, though. You've got pins in the lining. Bev, be careful where you put those pins. I don't know if Meg wants a piercing down there. They're really yummy. I mean, I'm getting the cheese now because I think I've had a bit of the top of it. These are going to be divine with soup. I'm not sure I'm going to get to the mushroom soup today. It only takes like 5 minutes to make. It's one of those things that I would actually feel like whipping up after work tomorrow or even on Tuesday, because it's already 5 o'clock, and I usually do like my afternoon meal prep usually kicks off at about 2, and this is like when I'm cleaning the kitchen and then starting to plan dinner. So the meatballs are going to be my dinner tonight. I have got garlic chicken and veggies left over from my cook yesterday that I can either have for dinner tomorrow night when I get home or take them to lunch, but I'm definitely taking a muffin with me. These are, for me, let me just have one more mouthful. And yeah, you could also put a little bit more relish on the side with these too. Did you say someone else's tomato? Never, Bev, never. Everybody knows your tomato relish is the best in the world. They're really light and fluffy. They've got really good flavour. They're really they remind me of the farm. This is sort of farm food, you know. It's like hearty, good flavours. The ham's beautiful, and I think the relish is really working well with the ham. The spinach is a nice little pop of flavour, and the cheese, when you get a bit of cheese, yeah, they're great. I don't know if I'd give these a 10 out of 10. I'd probably say for me, they're more like an 8, maybe a 9. But with a soup, they're pretty awesome. But the last ones I made, the cherry tomato and ricotta ones, were so ridiculously light and fluffy and divine. But yeah, thoroughly recommend you give the Humana muffins a go, and hopefully she'll like them. I feel like they need some. I'm just going to finish it because I don't want to waste anything. You just get to listen to me eating. Eat your words, Tori. Did I say? No, my favourite tomato relish was my grandfather, and I've got his recipe, but I can't make it taste like his did. The ham is the hero of this muffin for sure for me, with that little hint of relish. But to me, to be honest, I'd prefer to have Dijon mustard. That sort of ham, cheese, and mustard thing. That relish was from South Australia. I reckon that's why it's not that good. No, it was Beerenberg. It was really lovely, but I definitely, when I have it tomorrow, when I take it to work, I'm going to take a little bit of tomato relish or sauce from one of my other bottles, a different one. I mean, I've already used up that jar anyway, but just to give it a different flavour on top, another layer. But yeah, they're really hard. Like, all the boys in my family would love them. I'm not saying that girls don't, but in terms of like blokes wanting that really, like the guys that are going to be doing work on my house, if I took a tray of those down for them in the morning, they'd be gone in, 5 minutes. All right. So, yeah, they're good. They're not the best savoury muffins I've ever made. They're not the worst at all. Like, they're definitely hovering around an 8.5, 9. They're pretty yummy. They're very yummy. But I think because the last ones were just so amazing, they're never going to compare. But an ideal one for that, making a, pot of tomato soup or whatever, and it's like, what can I have with it? Oh, I've got these ham and cheese muffins. Perfect. Perfect. All right. We're going to make some balls. Just going to wash my hands again. Sorry that we had to interrupt that ball rolling exercise to do a taste test with the muffins, but they are good. All right, so we're just going to roll like roughly a tablespoon. I'm not fussy with stuff. I've seen people doing meatballs, they use a specific spoon to make sure that they're all the same size. I mean, I aim for them to be around the same size, but at this time of day on a Sunday, it's really not that big a deal if they're not identical. I mean, you don't want to make one the size of a golf ball and one the size of a cantaloupe, put it that way. They roll together really well too. Must be those soaked panko breadcrumbs. It's holding them all together. And the eggs. Wait, were there even eggs? No, there weren't. No eggs. These are rolling like a dream. I'm already rating this recipe just because of how easy the balls are to play with. I mean, who doesn't want balls that are easy to play with? Think about it, Nobody wants a high-maintenance ball. Bev, don't go there. That's so rude. Jeez, Meg warned me about you, Bev. This one's got a big lump of halloumi, so I'm going to actually push that into the middle. That's going to be that's going to be a ball with a surprise. And haven't we all had a ball with a surprise too? Cement shoes, wake up. I'm talking about balls. You're missing the best bit. And what we're going to be doing is cooking up the balls. Then taking them out of the frying pan that we cook them in, making a bit of a sauce. It does require 2 cans of chopped tomatoes. I was 100% certain I had 2 tins in my pantry. It appears I have but 1. So what I'm going to do is just zhuzh up the sauce with one of the bottles of tomato sauce that I just found in the pantry. Not a chili one, though. There's enough spice already happening in these here balls. And it'll be a pretty simple sauce. Like, it's going to basically be some sherry vinegar. That's the ingredient I couldn't believe I had in my pantry. I was like, really? When and how did that happen? But I've got it. It's from all these random recipes I try. I end up with all these kooky ingredients. Like, I've never got out of bed and gone, must hit the shops and buy myself some sherry vinegar ever in my life. But obviously I made something once upon a time that required it, and there it was. I love it. I love that I use ingredients like that again, that they don't just, you use it 1 tablespoon of something and then it sits in your pantry till you do a clean out and you're like, oh, an ancient relic from 1973. How lovely. I think I'm talking to myself again. That's fine. Can't believe Meg is getting crocheted bikinis. Just the fact that you are getting a bikini itself is impressive. Hot patootie. I still wear bikinis down here, but God, nothing like a crochet one. I mean, I'm at the point in my life I don't really care. My view is how to get a beach body, put some bikinis on your body and go to the beach. But I don't wear the ass showing ones. The sort of G-string style that everyone's into, the younger girls. Even at their age, I wouldn't have worn them. I think the little sort of 1960s Gidget bikini that leaves a bit to the imagination are way sexier. I really do. I'm not shaming anyone who wears it. My niece Lily loves the D-bag of bikini bum, and she nails it. And at 16, I would have nailed them too. It's just not a look that I would have gone for. I like Gidget and her cute little bikini bums. Way better. Let's heat up a frying pan. You want to go non-stick when you're doing meatballs. This big heavy bastard out of the cupboard. God, weekends just fly by. I actually had some days off this week and they ended up being so busy that I was just hanging out for a quiet weekend and it's like over. It's ridiculous. So I'm just going to heat up. This frying pan is a ripper once it's heated up, but it does take a while. So we're going to crank that up to high and get it nice and hot. And we'll be chucking a bit of olive oil in. And yeah, I'm going to leave the mushroom soup till probably Tuesday night or tomorrow night. Or I might even make them while I'm cleaning up the kitchen, but I just won't be live doing it. But there's already a mushroom soup recipe on this channel, on the Shitty Kitty Kitchen in the archives. That's really amazing and delicious. So if you want an affordable, yummy mushroom soup, we've already got one up there. The only difference with this one is it's a bit posher. Like I said, there's some pan-fried mushrooms as a garnish at the end, but it's still at the end of the day a cream of mushroom soup. So I don't think not going live a bit later and doing that is going to be a tragedy. And I've got so much food because I had that leftover garlic chicken from last night. So good to see you, Meg. And what we're basically going to do is cook these meatballs in batches, turning them. They're probably a little bit bigger than a tablespoon size, so they might need a bit more than a couple of minutes. But what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to brown them, like partly cook them and take them out when they're browned around the edges. Then I'm going to make the sauce, and then I'm just going to drop them back in the sauce, and they can just keep cooking while I'm heating up some pasta or whatever I decide to have with them. And we do the cooking chopstick test to see how the oil's coming on. It's already bubbling a little bit, but you want it to be quite reactive. You can use a normal chopstick. These are cooking ones. They're really long so that you can toss everything and be far away from the wok that you don't get stuff in your eye. We cooked with these when I lived in Vietnam all the time and brought them home with me because they're just such great utensils. But yeah, a little Vietnamese trick to test when oil is ready is you stick the chopstick in. I can't move the camera closer to the pan, unfortunately. And when the oil starts bubbling around the bit of the chopstick in the pan, you know it's ready to cook, but it's still, it sort of has to be like bubbly, not just a limp bubble, which is what it's doing at the moment. Come on, oil. The oil's now independently moving around the pan, so I'm going to just chuck in a ball. Oh, we have a sizzle. Let's go. This pan's beautiful, but it's heavy and it just takes a long time to heat up. And it really does have to heat up because if it doesn't, it's really bad at browning stuff. So we'll probably be doing 2 batches. I do think it's just me now, but that's all right. And I've got such a mess. And also, I haven't even changed my sheet head on my bed. That was my first job to do this morning. And I've just been doing so many other things. Great things, but keep an eye on the amount of oil that you have in the pan. You can always add a little bit more. With meatballs, you don't want them to be, burnt, or you don't. You want to make sure that they've got a good bit of oil cooking them. I mean, there's not much in the pan, but meatballs, especially with breadcrumbs in them, they like to soak all of that stuff up. Actually, it's my favourite retro dish. I collect vintage Pyrex, and this is my favourite one. And that I've scrubbed the crap out of these things. I used it yesterday, and I scrubbed it like crazy. There's just some marks that are never going to come off, but it had a perfect glass lid that broke. But I just love it. It's my favourite one. Where's Dead Tuttle? She and I bonded over Pyrex. Well, she found a Pyrex bowl on the boat that she bought and asked me if I wanted it. And I was like, I do collect vintage Pyrex, but that one's ugly. Anyway, she's kept the ugly bowl and now loves it. And I'm fond of it too. These are all best just cooking around the outside where the oil is, because there's a slight raised bit in the middle. Great design there. Where is my lip balm? What have I done with? Look at these things, tongs. Yeah, so I'm not planning on cooking these right through because I'm going to just let them warm up and cook in the sauce a bit later. Especially because I'm now cooking alone, like it's a bit, So I'm doing not the cheap version. Just be mindful the halloumi is cooking pretty quickly, so you want to move them around a bit. I pretty much want them browned on every side. I don't think it's going to be super moist, light. Like they're not going to be, sometimes people make meatballs and they're just like literally like little rubber balls. I think these are going to be that sort of fall apart, melt in your mouth kind of meatball. So great. This is chili I'm cooking on. All right, they're pretty much brown on every side, so I'm taking them out because, they will continue to cook in the sauce a bit later. So let's make the sauce, whack them back in, put the lid on, keep them on low. It's minced meat, it cooks pretty quickly, they'll cook through. I'm just going to add a little bit more oil for the second batch of meatballs. Again, just giving them a cook around the edges. That's where all the oil is gathering. And if you get some yummy, crunchy, burny bits in this pan, that's cool too, because that's where we're going to be making the sauce. So that's going to be all that yummy, those yummy little bits of flavour that you get. So glad MasterChef is on tonight. I can watch that while I clean up this kitchen. My God. Since I am on my own, I'm just going to go to StreamYard in another window and private the mushroom soup. We'll make that another day. But yeah, if anyone is after a mushroom soup recipe, there is one I checked earlier in the Shitty Kitty Kitchen. There's a playlist that is soups. There's also a vegetable playlist, and I reckon you'll find it in there too, and possibly even winter, because I've got seasonal playlists. Like I just put recipes into the seasons I think they're best suited for, because it's, you know, got a seasonal vegetable, or obviously like more salady stuff for summer, more vegetable stuff for winter, like cooked vegetable stuff. I'm going to turn this pan down a bit here. Smoking. But yeah, the halloumi cooks pretty quickly, so, but I like a bit of that kind of caramelized, crunchy brown cooking. It's not carcinogenic yet. Give it time. So when we deglaze this pan to do the sauce, all those yummy bits are going to be in the sauce too. So good. I'm quite happy just eating meatballs in a bowl. Like, just put some fresh herbs, cracked pepper. Sometimes, you know, depending on the flavors, you might put a bit of parmesan. I wouldn't with this, because this is more of an African-y spicy kind of recipe. These are looking pretty good. Just want to make sure they're browned on every side. So just need a couple of seconds on each side. And I'll throw this sauce together. And I'll have meatballs. It's nice to have a bowl of meatballs, like a container, you know, a sealed container. I could have made them half the size they are, but for me, like for dinner tonight, I'll probably only have 4 meatballs. I might do a little bit of pasta or something with it, or some rice, I'm not sure yet. Or some polenta. I do like polenta with meatballs as well. And with the African flavours, polenta would be a perfect side dish. In fact, I think this recipe recommends you do polenta. It does. Serve with soft polenta, coriander, and extra chamula. Or one of the mystery jars of relish out of your fridge. All right, so the meatballs are out. They can just sit to one side, because now we're using the same pan. We're just going to put together the sauce, and it's pretty straightforward. The first thing, if the recipe did ask for 2 400-gram tins of crushed tomatoes, or diced, what is what I've got. I honestly thought I had 2, and I don't. So, oh no. I don't, but I do have some tomato sauce. This is the Tassie Jam and Sauce Company. And I'm going to just add, not the equivalent of a tin of tomatoes, because it's missing. Well, actually, yeah, I will. I'm just going to chuck in roughly 400 mils of that. Get that back over there. Give it a stir. And yeah, all that deglazing's happening. You're getting crunchy bits of halloumi coming off the bottom of the pan. So yeah, sometimes necessity is the mother of invention. When you think you've got, I'm going to turn that down even more actually. Crikey. That pan is on fire. Well, it's not literally, but it's hot. Yeah, when you go to make something and there are always balls. Look at all the balls, Mel, and they look really moist. They've got grated halloumi in them. I can't wait to do a taste test for these little groovers. The mystery ingredient that I was like, yeah, as if I'd have sherry vinegar in my house. I do. We want to add a tablespoon of that, and I'm just going to guesstimate because that's what I do. on a Sunday. That's about a tablespoon. Sherry vinegar. Who would have thunk it? This is still like, I don't want it to reduce by half in under 30 seconds. That would just be ridiculous. We're going to chuck in a couple of tablespoons of brown sugar. So it's going to have a bit of sweetness to it. Which you always want with tomatoes, you know, the sweetness to work in with the acidity. Again, just guessing. Thanks for dropping in, Mel. Mel, it was, there are a few folk around and they all just pour out cement. He fell asleep while I was making the muffins in the last live and popped back in to let me know that he'd fallen asleep, and I think he promptly fell asleep again. So, a couple of tablespoons of brown sugar. And that's it. That's your sauce. As simple as that. And we're just going to put that back over the heat. Let it do its thing for a couple of minutes. You just got up. Wow. Yes, I know what time it is. It's what time? Oh, you know what time it is for cement? Or is it party time, or what am I missing? But yeah, so when I have these a bit later, once I clean the kitchen up, I'll probably, because it's got an African-y kind of, I mean, I tried to create chamoli using chili, tomato relish, and chucking in heaps of coriander and parsley. I might just do a little polenta with it. Are you still not well? I reckon you sure you haven't got influenza A, because you've been mentioning you've been unwell for a while, and a friend of mine was like flat out in bed for 10 days with it. And then my boss, her 2 daughters have just had it, and they were wiped for 2 weeks. It's going around. But basically, that's the sauce. It's had a couple of minutes to do whatever it needed to do. So we're going to drop our moist spiced lamb and halloumi meatballs back into the sauce. And because we've only browned them around the outside, probably like 6 to 8 minutes for them to cook through. But they will retain that sort of crunchy exterior, all that beautiful caramelized halloumi. Don't worry if they fall apart. It's all just going to end up in a big pile in your plate anyway. But yeah, you can serve it with mashed potato and veggies. You could do polenta and some green beans. You could just have a bowl of it on its own. You could chop up some more fresh coriander to garnish it on top. You could do pasta with it if you wanted to. It'd be kind of cookie. Rice. Yummy with rice. Whatever you feel like. And that's basically it. And I'm going to put the lid back on it. And it can just, I'm putting it right down onto low because that's actually going to be my dinner. And in about 8 minutes, I'll switch it off. And it should basically stay warm enough till when I want to eat it. Oh, you cancel the doctor report. Yeah, because isn't that, how much does that suck? It's like you're sick, but you can't actually go into the surgery to find out what you've got because they won't let you anywhere near the surgery if you're exhibiting any kind of symptoms that could be all manner of things. Hey, Joman, good to see you, Groover. Yeah, kofta is expensive to make from scratch. But these little meals that I'm trying to cook now on the channel, I mean, this sort of spicy lamb meatballs, it sounds posh, but it's just meatballs at the end of the day. But it has got grated halloumi in it. Yum, yum, yum. Oh, you've got a fantastic doctor. Awesome. Life's better when you have a fantastic doctor. So, yeah, they're just going to sit there for about 8 minutes and cook through. These are the Humana muffins I made earlier today on a different live. They're delicious. They're very hearty. They're ham, cheese, and the tomato relish that I used was a spicy one. And that's actually, the relish is also in that muffin, and a bit of baby spinach. And they're really hearty, yummy, with like warmed up a little bit with some melted butter and then some cracked pepper on top. Beautiful. And also just to have like with some tomato soup or any soup really. But yeah, Humanimal, when I was making the ricotta and cherry tomato muffins a couple of weeks ago, she said, oh, I'm more of a cheese and ham one. And I said, well, funny enough, there's a recipe on the other page for that. So these are the Humana muffins, and they're delicious. For me, more like an 8.5, sorry, more like an 8.5, 9 out of 10, because I love the ricotta cherry tomato ones were so bloody amazing. But with a soup or something, these are just going to be delicious. And yeah, if I took a batch of these to the boys that will be working on my house soon, they'd be gone. They're really good. Very that sort of traditional farm style food, although these do have a very spicy sort of African tomato chutney in them, but a Beerenberg one. But yeah, they're great. And you can hide the veggies. But that's going to be it from me, guys. I have a mountain of dishes to do. It's 5:30. I can't believe it. I've got to put fresh sheets on my bed, do all the things that I didn't get to today because I ended up hanging out with friends, which was wild. I don't want to try one of the meatballs because they're still cooking, but I might just try the sauce. I'm kind of curious, actually, to see what the halloumi is like. Actually, there's a little bit that fell off that'll be cooked. Hey. All right. I can do a little taste test. There's a little bit of meat, a little bit of lamb there, a little bit of halloumi, a little bit of tomato, a bit of the sauce. You told your doctor she was bossy and I liked it. I'm like that with my dentist. Yeah, hanging with mates is excellent. And they're brain food friends too. Like our conversations are just awesome. That's why whenever we say, let's just catch up for a cuppa for an hour, like 4 hours later. Okay. Whoa. Hooey. Yeah, that chili relish that I used up, rather than buying a jar of chamula paste, I was like, I've got relishes in my fridge and I need to use them. And I used a chili one. That's kind of just blown my tits off slightly. Like it's bearable, but it's right on the edge. And fortunately, that little bit of sugar that went into the sauce has counterbalanced the chili. And it's like this perfect mouthful of, that's a 10 out of 10. And the halloumi is really soft and sort of, it's not stringy, but it's just got that yummy melted cheese kind of thing going on with it. Yum. 10 out of 10. Well done, Donna Hay. Your spicy lamb and halloumi meatballs are kick-ass, even though I didn't have enough tomatoes for the sauce. And what else did I do? Something. Oh, I didn't use store-bought chamula. I used the existing chili tomato and added some coriander and parsley to it. That is so good. Hey, Casper, how you doing, mate? Yeah, cream's always a good thing to tone it down a bit. It's right on the edge. It's that, this is amazing. Thank God it's not any hotter. Like, that's really yummy as far as I'm concerned. That's perfect for me. Unlike the night my sister came here for chili prawns last year and they were so bloody spicy that we couldn't eat them. And I was devastated because they were amazingly beautiful prawns. But against my better judgment, I put in what the recipe suggested for the chili, and it was just, you know, like I dated a guy I dated him for a couple of years, but his dad was one of those guys at restaurants that would say, bring out your hottest chili and I'm going to eat it as it is. And they're like, you won't. This is like the second hottest chili in the world. And then he'd sit there going bright red and sweating like a pig. We sucked in, Jeff, you dickhead. Yeah, cream is a really good thing. The other thing that's really good to tone down something if it's too spicy is lemon juice. But that doesn't need anything because the sugar in the sauce, like when you first get that pop of chili in your mouth, and chamula is a chili-based tomato-y paste from Africa, or lots of spices at least. But yeah, when you get that first taste, you're like, whoa, she's hot. And then the sugar just kind of kicks in straight after, and you're like, oh, I'm all right. We can do this. And I do make meals for myself sometimes that are so chili hot that I sit there eating it going, if food wasn't so expensive, this would not be finished by me, but food's expensive. So I made some soup actually that's in the freezer. I think it's a sweet potato. Hang on. Yeah, it was a sweet potato soup and it was a spicy one. Oh my God. Like it. Yeah. Normally a pot of soup that I make on Sunday is gone by Tuesday night. Most of it's in the freezer. And I'm like, I can't chuck it because food's so expensive. But I also know that if I don't have any cream or sour cream in the house, there's no point me trying to eat it. It's off the show. Yeah, lemon juice. And lemon juice also, if you ever taste something and you kind of like, it's good, but you know it could be better, it's missing something. If you put a squeeze of lemon in, honestly, lemon just elevates everything and just changes it slightly and makes it amazing. That's why if anyone ever, if you're at a dinner party and people say to you, what's the one thing you have to always have in your kitchen? My answer is always lemons, because lemons can, turn anything into something amazing. Plus, you can do the dishes with the leftover lemon. Like if you actually wash your dishes with like when you've done like a juiced lemon or something, don't chuck them in your compost. Use them as dish detergent. They work really well. Yes, lemons are great. You made something that blew your head off and you sent it to sent it all to your son-in-law. Yeah, I mean, I do send a lot of food to neighbours and stuff, but any blow your tits off stuff, no. And back when I was doing the 1970s recipe cards, I really did love doing them, but the cost and everything I made, except for the pineapple, like the fruit salad that I made, and I carved out the pineapple, which was great fun. Like it was hard work too, but that was great because it was soaked in rum and I got a bit tipsy eating it. But everything else was huge because they were American recipes, so everything was gigantic. And I'd be stuck with this huge pot of something a bit gelatinousy and slimy and boring for days. And the way groceries are now, it's like, nah, as much as I'd love to do it because it was funny as fuck, but I ended up being stuck with all this gross food. The only friend I have is Scotty, who said he loves all of those things in aspic. And I was like, cool, well, I'll be sending heaps your way. But then it was like, that's just pointless. I'm spending $25 on ingredients. Like when you get a barbecue chicken, when the juices in the bottom end up turning into aspic, like Scotty used to make his mum put it straight in the fridge so that he could pull the chicken out and eat all the aspic. Yeah. Yeah, we've got to use everything. Freeze for lunches. Yeah, no waste. And I do take muffins into work every week. After I've made them on the weekend, I take like at least half a dozen in. So 6 of those will go in tomorrow. And there's a lot of blokes where I work, and hopefully they'll be a bit more interested in the ham and cheddar. Although it does have a pretty spicy chutney, nothing like this. But this is really yummy. And also, if you have got spicy meatballs or whatever, you can serve them with rice. That sort of dilutes things a bit too, I reckon. But thanks for popping in, Melmo. I hope you feel really well soon. Like, I hope you're on the mend soon. And glad to hear you've got a good doctor. But, yeah, if you have got influenza A, everyone who's caught it down here, it's like they've been flattened for 2 weeks with it. The muffins are bait. Trust me, there's nobody in the building worth baiting. Fishing for a husband. No, you know my little buddy, and he's back. So I'm fine. Thank you very much. Some cheese. All right, I'm logging off. I've got to clean this kitchen. I've got to pack my lunch for tomorrow. And I've got to make my bed all before MasterChef starts. Oh, he never goes away. He actually lives here permanently now. Insert Barry White. Yeah, he'd like that. I'm like, I'm old. You're not that exciting anymore, but I still love talking to you. So you can come around and I can just look at you and talk to you. I actually said that to him. Bring a bottle of wine. You're Italian. You get in the kitchen. Thank you very much. And I'll just talk and look at you. And then you can go home. Or go to this. Well, don't go home if you've had a few wines. Go to the spare room. Let yourself out in the morning. I don't know. Anyway, it's fun. But honestly, what a saga. We're trying to work out the other day how long it is now since we've known each other. And it is close to 10 years, if not 10 years. It must be more, I reckon. But anyway, that's it from me, Grooves. Yeah, sorry about the mushroom soup live. But like I said, there is a mushroom soup recipe on the Shitty Kitty Kitchen, which is a Donna Hay, and it's awesome. And I'm going to keep doing, I'm doing a lot of dishes for two as well, Mel, because talking about, well, I might, you're right. Worse things have happened. I'm starting to do a lot of recipes as well that I'm halving them. So I'm making it for two because, again, with the cost of groceries and stuff, and I don't like the same leftovers 4 or 5 days after I've made them. And I'm really fussy about freezing stuff. So, like, I'd freeze the meatballs because meatballs freeze perfectly well. Bolognese sauce is a great thing to freeze. But I don't like making up meals and freezing them. It just, no. But on that note, beautiful people, enjoy your Sunday evenings or your early Sunday mornings, and I hope everyone has a great week. I will not be back on YouTube. I might do a live in the morning to talk about Brian Koberger because we've got to talk about him. And although I really wanted to do that live from here because there's a video I want to show. Oh, I don't know. But I won't probably be back till at least Thursday morning with batshit. It is hard cooking for one, but I've got all these recipes that are for two, and they're really budget friendly, cheap and cheery, but really yummy. And they're the sort of recipes that, you know, if you have to feed an army like you do, you can just quadruple it. And they're still going to be affordable and delicious. But yeah, I'm more than happy to have like a dish. Like yesterday I made the garlic chicken and I've got a serve of it in the fridge. So if I decide I'm not having the meatballs and I have that again, like 2 lots of that for dinner, fine. But I don't want to be eating that till Wednesday. Humanimal, I made your Humana muffins. I'll show you. This, and they're much more golden in the flesh. The lighting in this kitchen and the camera and just stream out. I don't know. The colors are like my top last night. Muffins freeze really well too. So these are the ham, tomato relish, and cheddar cheese with baby spinach muffins that I made earlier. I gave them an 8.5, 9, only because the cherry tomato ricotta ones blew my tits off. I'm not going to lie. But these, like with the tomato soup or something, or any kind of soup, beautiful with warmed up, a bit of butter and cracked pepper. They were amazing. They were really yummy. And I'll show you what I did to the recipe. Humana muffins in my terrible left-handed scroll. You think highs? Yeah, look, they are really nice. They are yummy. Although to be honest, the cheese for mine, probably not. I mean, 8.5 is actually realistic. 9 is pushing it. But the cheese wasn't strong enough because I used an African tomato chutney that had a lot of spice in it. And I think it just, basically has drowned out the cheese. But in doing that, there's yummy crunchy bits of cheese on the outside of it, even like the bottom of it. And the spicy African chutney has really, like, the ham is out of this world. So yeah, it needed to be sharper. But look, at the moment, I'm buying the cheese I can afford, and it was just a tasty cheddar. But like I said, there is this yummy coating. So yeah, we made the humana muffins. I'm going to log off, boo-boos. Thanks for hanging out. And yes, we do have to talk about Coburger. And until then, I'm exhausted. Can someone just come over and pour me a wine and clean my kitchen and make the bed? Oh, hello. Where are you? I was wondering if you're coming over tonight. And I'm joking. I'm joking. Cheese is insane. I did pick up a really bitey cheddar, and I was like, I think it's going to have to be bitey in these muffins. But it was something like $5 more than the block I ended up buying. Same size. So, yeah. But the twist, by not using just a plain tomato chutney and using a spicy African one, what it did to the ham, amazing. You'll send Andrew. Thank you. Thank you very much. I look forward to him arriving here in 24 hours. So I love you, Grooves. I'll be back cooking a lot. I really enjoy it. Even though I was cooking on my own for a lot of today, the recipes are here if people want to make them. I'm only live. I'm live on both channels, but Shitty Kitty Kitchen is on private. But that is where I'm archiving recipes. So if you ever just want to quickly find something that you've seen me making, the best option is to go there. There's heaps of different playlists. There's seasonal ones, veggies, muffins. There's a muffins playlist. So, yeah, you got to save up. Well, that's what you get for throwing super stickers my way yesterday, you twit. But I appreciated that. It was very cute. I love you, Groovers. And I will see you all soon. Happy eating. And stay groovy, everyone. Bye, everyone.